Daniel, very nice to meet you. I know you yourself just for a couple of hours, but your products and your humidor is sitting at my home for almost 20 years now.
Amazing.
I picked one up from a friend of mine who brought it over from the States. Back then it was rated #1 in Cigar Aficionado, and I still have it today, so that's our connection.
Incredible. I love it. I was so impressed when you told me that story. And being here in Germany is such a pleasure and a dream and a privilege. And to be able to now sell our cigars as well as our humidors and our whole collection here in Germany and all throughout Europe, and to meet you is a real honor. So thank you for taking the time to share a little bit of my story and our mutual story with your readers and with the people who are your viewers and customers of yours.
Yeah, that's a very interesting project. You have you began with humidors and then also came up with cigars. And right now I'm smoking the gold edition, one very special cigar which I didn't try before. How you come up with that idea?
Well, I tell you, sometimes the best things in life are accidents. If I think back 33 years ago, you don't just wake up when you're 19 years old and say, okay, I'm going to go in the humidor business when your father doesn't smoke. And I knew nothing. I was a Malibu surfer, and my dream was to build a sailboat and sail around the world. So making humidors for Alfred Dunhill wasn't exactly a thought-out plan.
Okay.
But that's what happened. I was building a sailboat to sail around the world, and I had it nearly finished. I'd saved every penny since I was 10 years old, and then I bought a fiberglass hull, 32-foot cruising boat called a West Hill 32. Bought an engine, built the interior, beautiful teak wood, magnificent detail. I made models, so I always could envision something. If I saw it in my head, I can create it. So I did that with the boat, and I was ready to put it in the water. And I was dating a girl at the time whose grandfather had built a life insurance company, and he became very successful, and he loved the idea of the boat. So one night we're sitting on his terrace overlooking all of LA in Bel Air, which is one of the best places in LA, and he was asking, so what's going on with the sailboat? And I said, well, I'm so excited because within 2 weeks I'm going to invite you to the christening of the sailboat because I'm putting it in the water. I'm borrowing $15,000 from the bank, and I'm going to be able to buy the sails and the rig and float it. And he looked at me and he said, Danny, why are you borrowing the money from the bank? Why didn't you come to me to borrow the money? And I said, I would never borrow the money from you. You're my girlfriend's grandfather. What happens if we break up? I don't want any ill feelings between us. And so literally for 30 minutes, he tried to make me feel comfortable. This is between him and I, nothing to do with Jody, and that I could borrow the money from him. And he said, so how much are you really going to need? I said, $15,000. This was 82.
Wow.
And he said, you're going to need $50,000. I said, $50,000. So I drove home that night, and I knew my life had changed because someone had believed in me to trust me with this kind of money. But before I was going to borrow that money, I was going to make him a gift. And what do you buy a man that has everything? You got to make him something. So I said, okay, put two and two together. What was he doing while he was talking to me? And what are his biggest loves? Besides golf, he was smoking a Dunhill cigar.
Okay.
So I called up the butler the next morning and I said, hey, what kind of cigar is he smoking? He said, a Dunhill Monte Cruz number 280. So I went down to Beverly Hills, picked up the cigars, and made a really nice, interesting cigar holder in teak for 3 cigars. And I had a plate on the bottom, to Papa Joe, love Danny, thank you for believing in me. And I tell you, I still hadn't gone to borrow the money for the boat. Took 2 weeks to make, gave it to him, and he had my life all in his head. And in 30 seconds, he told me the words that would really be the chart of my history. And he saw it, he looked at the case, he said, thank you, this is beautiful, I love it, you're welcome. However, if you want, you can borrow this from me, take it to Dunhill, and they will buy it. And you can set up a little workshop, make these cases, sail around the world, go surfing, to have your dream. The first person in my life, and I know all of us have these people, these angels in our life that kind of tap us on the shoulder and say, hey, think about this. Maybe go in that direction if you want. And so I did just that. The next day went to Dunhill, and I was scared to death walking in that most intimidating store where the guys have the white gloves and everything is like too beautiful to touch. And the manager of the store really liked the cigar case. So he said, the buyer's in New York, you gotta go there. So long story short, I went to New York, slept on my brother's floor next to his pet boa constrictor, and couldn't get the appointment, of course. No buyer wants to see you ever. I'm just another pain in the ass. But luckily it was raining that day and I got totally soaked. It was that New York summer kind of rain, humid, and no taxis. And luckily the woman that answered the door liked animals. And I reminded her of a wet dog. And so she went and begged the buyer, Carl Barbato, to see me just for 5 minutes. And I had one of these cigar cases for every Dunhill cigar made. There was 12 different sizes, all in beautiful velvet case and everything. And I showed it to him. I was expecting immediate, wow, this is great, I love it. He said, this is okay. He was kind of underimpressed.
Okay.
But he said, can you make a cigar humidor? And I looked at him and I said, sure. What's a cigar humidor?
Of course I can.
And he sent me up a Dunhill humidor that was broken and cracked with a whiskey bottle. And he said, if you can copy this, come back, I'll give you an order and we'll see what you can do. 2 weeks later, I came back, brought him a sample, brought him 10 different wood samples, and he took out his spreadsheet. And there was like 10 Dunhill stores. It was the only place you buy a humidor in America, either Dunhill, Nat Sherman, and a few of the top cigar shops. Because there was, at that time in 1983, about 5 cigar smokers. Jack Nicholson, George Burns,
Okay.
maybe Arnold Schwarzenegger. Really very few cigar smokers that were really into it. But he took out his pen and started marking on this spreadsheet. And I was just looking saying, oh my God, what's he doing? How many is that going to be? And it was a $250,000 order.
Wow.
Albert Dunhill. So I went home to Papa Joe, we called him. I said, look, your favorite men's store just gave us an order. And he said, he was laughing so hard. He said, now it's obvious what we have to do. We have to definitely set up a factory and make these humidors.
That's an interesting start to a business.
Yep.
But it's so true what you say. It's so, you said there are angels in the life of someone. It's chance, it's coincidences, and you never have to give up. I mean, that's one of the biggest points also. I mean, if you need someone will show up if you have good karma.
Absolutely.
And you're a good guy. But most of the people around the cigar business have similar stories with struggle and with the Fuentes, all the fires and the war
beetle
and everything.
infestation.
It's unbelievable how you overcome problems. But this is a really nice story how a business gets a startup.
And I'm sure your story is very similar. I can't wait to hear it because it's like, it's evolution. And like you say, you just never give up. You just keep going with that dream. And I encourage everyone out there just to, no matter what their interest is, you can make it into a business. You can make money with it. And with the cigars and the humidors, this is like it's a non-stop vacation. I think you're in the right business when you would do it, no matter how much you made or how much you lost. It's just something that's in your blood and you want to create. And every day I wake up and I say to myself, how can I make the better humidor? How can I make it more beautiful? This is an example of one of the pieces. I have a famous artist painting on the top some very special koi fish with gold leaf. And then same with the cigars. How do we come up with a better cigar? There's always a way. And I found that many elements create a great cigar besides the soil and a great cigar maker that has huge inventory of tobacco so you can have consistency, but then you have an age-worthy tobacco, and then you can gain everything from time. If you have the patience and you have the ability to put the cigars away, they become something special. So we age them 1 year before we let them out to the public in the box, and this is how it goes.
Okay, from a super interesting story how you started with humidors to making cigars, which I'm smoking right now, the Golden edition. How did this develop?
It's the red label 24 karat golden torpedo. Another accident, another fluke,
Okay.
and totally unintended to sell, totally unintended to, be what it has become. It is now, that gold cigar has taken on a life of its own and has appeared in the most amazing situations all over the world. It's in rap songs. It's showing up in the mouth of Nick Jonas. He's a famous singer. He posted on Instagram him and his friend Demi Lovato celebrating her release. So it's a celebration cigar, and it's a serious celebration cigar. And that's the last thing I expected when I made 20 golden cigars.
Okay.
So it all started. The story of the gold cigar came about when Universal Studios asked me to make 1,000 humidors to package and showcase their Blu-ray release of Scarface. So 30 years after the movie was made, they wanted to come out with a Blu-ray, and they wanted to invest in a beautiful packaging and then have a big press event in LA and then do a theatrical release of the movie. And everyone loves Scarface all over the world. So they came to me to make packaging for the humidor, for the Blu-ray, but they weren't sure they wanted a humidor. But I convinced them by going to some of our best dealers. They did their due diligence that a humidor was the perfect thing to put the Blu-ray in. So they ordered 1,000. We had 3 months to make them. And they sold out in Germany alone, you won't believe it, 250 humidors in 3 hours on Amazon.
Wow.
Yeah, gone. So it was a home run. And at the cast and crew reunion party they had in LA where Pacino came and Angel Salazar, who played Chichi, was there. And Stephen Bauer was there.
I love him. That's my favorite role.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Scarface, but Stephen Bauer, it was unbelievable. Unfortunately, he didn't do much afterwards, but gorgeous guy. I loved it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just wonderful that any actor gets an opportunity to be in such an iconic and important film.
That's right.
The whole rags to riches idea helps us all dream and make us realize that with hard work and perseverance we can make it. And so I completed that, was at the party, and I went up to the head of Universal Studios who signed off on this deal. It was a big deal for us to make 1,000 humidors in 3 months. And I told him, I said, you are so brave to do a cigar-related item wrapped around your most iconic film that you own in your library. Well, that and Terminator, and they have a few other great properties that they own. And he said, well, it was just absolutely perfect. I said, you didn't get one complaint? Because I was sure you were going to call me and say, we have to cancel this because the anti-cigar and anti-smoking people are going to come after you as Universal Studios and all. And he said, no one complained. This was just perfect. Celebration idea. And that's what we cigar smokers, I think, are all about. We don't smoke cigars, we taste cigars. That's my motto. And we celebrate with cigars. Everything. We celebrate waking up in the morning, and that's a victory in itself.
That's true.
He said, Daniel, I have another favor to ask you. You made great humidors, but I want you to make 20 Ultra Bling Scarface humidors. So I said, sure, I'll do it as soon as possible. So I took the Swarovski diamonds and put them on the front. It says the world is yours in crystal, and we embellished the medallion, the Tony Montana medallion. And then I said, no humidor should not have a special cigar on the inside. What do you put? What kind of cigar do you put in there? You can't just put any cigar. You can't even just put a Daniel Marshall cigar in there. So I was drinking with a girlfriend of mine who did not smoke cigars at all. And I said, I have this problem. I got to come up with a great cigar, something unusual that no one else has ever done. And I said, money, wrap it in money. Of course, I'm too involved in the trees, and her not being in the business, she can see the forest. So she said, gold, Daniel, wrap it in gold. And I immediately said, can't be done. I just finished a humidor for President Bush, and it was the gold flaked off in my hands, it blew away in the wind. It's just too soft and too impossible. But whenever I catch myself saying that, being negative, I say, of course there's a way. You just have to think of it. But 3 months later, I figured out how to put 24 karat pure gold, which is perfectly safe. There's zero toxicity in that metal. and you can eat as much as you want. That's why they make gold teeth. And you can smoke as much as you want. But the interesting thing is, so I said, okay, why don't I just try it? And I found a safe and natural way to apply it with Baker's products and sugar glazes. And I put 20, one in each of these humidors. And I thought that was it. I only made 20 at night with my whiskey and rolled the gold. And that was it. So, but that's wrong. I brought it to a trade show, the humidor, to show off the Scarface humidor, and I put the gold cigar in there, and a writer from the Rob Report magazine came by and he said, "Oh my God, this is perfect. Our readers will love it, but can you smoke it?" I said, "I think so, I'm not sure." So he took it to his doctor, he tested it, and he said, "Daniel, you can really smoke this cigar. This is really amazing. And when you smoke it, it leaves a pure gold ash." And so I said, you know what? That's really interesting. So I researched that tobacco burns at 600 degrees and gold melts at 1200 degrees. Okay. So it has that unique characteristic where the gold will stay on the ash, and you don't smoke it, you don't burn it, and it just leaves the perfect memory. So it become a real golden moment. So what that cigar now has become, the press loved the idea. So what it's become now is a way to celebrate, a special gift. And I think everybody is curious, what is it like to smoke and then taste a golden cigar? And
today I had the chance to smoke one too, a very special occasion. We met after 20 years personally, and you are such a nice guy. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And hopefully we will make the charity event this summer.
Absolutely. We'll load it with gold cigars. We'll make a beautiful humidor. We'll raise money for people. We'll give back and do something special. And like I say, initially I thought it was a gimmick, like a joke, like impossible. It would never be a commercial success, and now we cannot make enough of them. And I make them myself. It's my meditation at night with my favorite whiskey from my friend who has a whiskey company called Balvenie Whiskey. I roll the gold and think about how lucky I am. And you know, I got a call the other day from one of our accounts in London, and they said President Clinton has just checked into the hotel. And I'm happy to tell you that we sent to his room some Cuban cigars and one of the golden cigars, and he bought the golden cigar along with some other cigars as well. So if a president of the United States will buy the gold cigar, it finally sunk in that this is really serious. This is fun.